Man, I haven't had this much dust on me since one I sandbagged a coyote that was killing the chickens.
Yeah? Well, we get some of this trail dust off of us. We can go downstairs at the cafe and eat some supper. I don't know about you, but this horseback, it gives me a heck of an appetite.
Sure does.
You know, I'm glad you came along, Tyler.
If only we'd seen a rattler we could have shot.
Yeah, either that or a bunch of bandits who were riding for their hideout in the hills, huh?
I wouldn't have minded that.
Yeah. Hello?
Oh, hello, Clint. It's Julia Medina speaking.
Julia, what a nice surprise. How you doing?
Well, not very well, actually. I thought since you were the one who hired me, I ought to tell you first.
Tell me what first?
I'm resigning, Clint. Cord will have to find someone else to write the society column for the Banner.
Hi, Viki. Oh, hi, darling. How are you? Great, great. And I'm really looking forward to hosting the Centennial Ball. You haven't changed your mind about that, have you?
No, no. Let's not talk about the Centennial. Let's talk about you. I've sort of been following the trial. Max's testimony must have been devastating for you.
No, I'm fine. Max and I are fine. Actually, that's not true. I keep hoping that if I pretend that there isn't a problem, they'll go away, but I'm losing Max to Gabrielle, and I really don't know what to do.
Gabrielle, what was your state of mind that fateful night? The night that the Grand and McGillis babies were switched at the Lambview Hospital. Gabrielle, did you hear my question?
Yes.
Can you answer, or don't you remember your state of mind on the night that the babies were switched?
Miss Medina, since you did agree to testify in your own defense, the court would appreciate your answering counselor's questions.
Your Honor, I'll rephrase the question. Now, let's just tackle the main issue, okay? Just give me a simple answer. When Michael Grand's infant died on Friday night, May 12th, 1989, at the Lambview Hospital Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, did you switch him with Brenda McGillis's living infant?
Yes, it's true. I did switch the babies.
Here's what to do when you don't find the rainbows in this time. Here's where you go when it looks like the rain won't end. Don't cry. I'll give you tomorrow. Let me be the one to share it with. And each day that follows, 'cause we only have one night to live.
Well, you've heard Miss Medina admit today, as she has before, that she did indeed switch the babies. But I'd like to ask that you refrain from making a decision regarding her actions until after you've heard the full story as to why it happened and her state of mind at the time.
Objection. Sustained. Mr. Russell, you'll have ample opportunity to address the jury at the end of the trial. I suggest you deal with the task at hand, which is the questioning of the defendant.
Very well. When did you first meet Michael Graham?
It was shortly after he came to Lambview. I was designing dresses at the time, and he bought a few to give to his wife, Alicia.
Would you explain the nature of your relationship with him?
It was business, and then turned into friendship.
Did it progress into a love affair?
Yes.
And who initiated that affair? You or Michael Graham?
Michael initiated it. I told him that I wasn't interested in having a relationship with a married man, but he convinced me that they were only married by name, that they hadn't lived together for quite some time. He's a very attractive man, and he seemed quite lonely at the time.
And you fell for that lonely routine and became his lover, huh?
Yes,
How long did the affair last?
a few months. When I learned that Alicia was coming to Llanview, I couldn't continue the affair.
You couldn't continue. Well, Michael Graham has already testified that he's the one who broke off the affair.
You could say that we both did.
Did his wife move into his house when she came back to Llanview?
Yes, she did.
Well, didn't that surprise you?
Yes. And what surprised me even more is that she was pregnant with his son.
She was pregnant when she arrived in Llanview?
Yes. You see, he'd been lying to me all along. He had purposely tried to seduce me.
She's lying. She manipulated the entire affair to get at my money. And now she sits there and she has the nerve to call me a liar.
Mr. Graham!
She doesn't care how many lies she tells or how many people she hurts. She's doing everything she can to get the sympathy.
I've had enough of your outbursts. Sheriff, remove Mr. Graham.
No. You don't even care about justice, do you?
That's it. One more word, mister, and the sheriff will take you to a jail cell instead of the corridor. Now get out of my courtroom.
Draw me.
See myself out?
Honey, I'm so sorry that I wasn't there for you. Is there anything I can do now to help?
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing anyone can do.
Why? Don't tell me you're planning to just sit back and not fight for him.
What's the point of fighting the losing battle, Viki? It will cause me more pain than I'm in already.
What makes you so sure it's a losing battle? You had a wonderful relationship with Max.
Yeah, well, I thought so. I also thought that he hated Gabrielle for her lying and her manipulation. Or at least that's what he told me time and time again. But then he gets up on the witness stand and he confesses that he loves her. I couldn't believe it.
You were in the courtroom when he did that?
I mean, how could he do that to me?
Well, I don't know, honey, but from what I've heard and read about the testimony, it wasn't something that he wanted to admit. John Russell forced it. Forced the issue in cross-examination, right?
Sure. Gabrielle's urging, I'm sure.
Well, have you talked to Max about it?
Yes, for all the good that did.
What did he say?
That he loved me and that his relationship with Gabrielle had nothing to do with me. I really wanted to believe him. You know, he actually convinced me that everything was like it always was and that I was very important to him. We had a lovely night together and, you know, my fears started to go away. But then again today...
What happened today?
Well, we taped a scene that I've been dreading ever since I read the script. It just made me feel very uncomfortable.
What was it, a difficult emotional scene?
Oh, it was difficult emotionally and physically. Roxanne and her lover are in this hot tub and they have this very heavy scene. I know that it's just a scene in a soap opera and I shouldn't have made that big a deal out of it, but I needed Max there.
And he wasn't there?
Well, for most of the taping he was, but then right as we were about to finish, he rushes off and goes to the courthouse to hold Gabrielle's hand. And that's how it's been for weeks. And I don't care what Max says. That's the way it's always going to be.
Julia, I don't understand. Is someone at the Banner giving you a bad time?
No, it's nothing like that.
Well, then what is it?
Well,
Hold on a minute.
I'm just gonna go take some pictures before the sun goes down, okay?
Yeah, look, Julia, why are you wanting to resign?
Well, it's just that you've been so kind to me. I don't want to do anything else to embarrass you.
Well, how have you embarrassed me? What'd you do, print something that you didn't check out first?
No, I had to take the stand at Gabrielle's trial. And Herb Callison just did everything he could to make people believe that everything she'd done was my fault. He called me a liar, a thief, and a manipulator. And he just took half-truths and made them sound like gospel. I've done so much to shame my daughters, I just couldn't bear to do anything else to upset you or to harm the paper.
Oh, now look, I'm an old war horse when it comes to scandal. Now, I know this can be upsetting, but try not to let it get to you. I mean, no matter how bad it seems, it always blows over.
Oh, I don't think this is something that's going to blow over.
It will. Trust me.
I just hope I haven't done too much to hurt the newspaper, but I think my resignation will help things.
Well, I'm not going to accept your resignation, Julia. Now, people love your column. Now, if you want to take a few days off to think about this and just cool off a little bit, that's fine with me. Just tell Cord that you and I have talked, okay?
Oh, you don't have to stand by me, Clint, especially since you don't know all the details.
Well, I'm a businessman, you see, and you don't write lies, and your column sells papers, and right now, that's all that's important to me.
Well, I could use the money for Gabrielle's attorney's fees.
Well, just take some time and give this some thought, okay?
I will. I really appreciate this.
Well, if you want to talk about this, you know where to reach me. I'll be happy to talk to you.
Thanks for being so nice.
You might like to know I am not going to press charges against you.
Well, then, in what way do you hope to claim your pound of flesh?
I don't want revenge. I'm not interested in it. I have learned through long experience it yields nothing but a hollow victory.
But one that you'd enjoy, considering the way you feel about me.
It was rather upsetting, to say the least, to discover that you are no better than your daughter. But since the police are returning my property, I have definitely decided not to prosecute.
That's very kind of you.
On the condition that you never interfere in my life again. I don't want to see you near my house. I don't want to see you near any of the people I care about. I don't, in fact, want to see you at all. Do you understand?
Yes. Thank you. I can never forget what you almost did to my daughter, but you have given me more than my freedom. You've given me a chance to let all the people of Landview know that I'm not the monster that Herb Callison portrayed me to be. And I assure you, I mean to make the most of the opportunity.
Well, you must have been very devastated to learn that Michael Grand had taken advantage of you like that.
Yes, I was. I was also very ashamed of myself once I met Alicia.
Why is that?
Because she was a very generous, loving human being, and she deserved to be treated with honesty, not betrayal.
Do you think that she really loved Michael?
Yes, very much.
But she knew that you and Michael were having an affair.
Yes, but she also knew that it was over.
But she forgave him.
She forgave both of us. That's the kind of woman she was. She was very forgiving. I could never understand how she could be so calm about it all. But obviously, this was not the first time that Michael had betrayed her.
Yeah, that's conjecture.
Sustained. Miss Medina, just answer Counselor's question.
Gabrielle, did you develop a friendship with Mrs. Grandin?
Yes. In fact, she influenced Michael to hire me to run the Landview Grand Hotel. It was because of Alicia that Michael and I were able to become friends as well as business associates.
But then everybody's life changed drastically on May 5th, 1989, didn't it?
Yes.
What happened that night?
I was alone in the house with Alicia when she went into labor. She was very frightened because, you see, the baby wasn't due for quite a few weeks.
So you drove her to the hospital?
After I called the doctor, yes. Unfortunately, we had to take Michael's car.
This is the same car that was sabotaged by Austin Buchanan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Unbeknownst to you, you tampered with the brakes. Is that also correct? Yes?
Yes.
Gabrielle, look, I know how hard it is for you to relive this experience. But it's very important for the jury here to realize exactly what happened that night that you drove to the hospital.
We took a shortcut, trying to save time.
Were you speeding at all?
No. I was very concerned about Alicia's state. We started to go up the hill and suddenly...
There's someone in the road!
Okay. What happened after you found yourself in the ravine?
After I regained consciousness, I noticed that Alicia had been badly injured. I didn't want to move her, but I was afraid that the gas tank would explode, so I managed to get her out of the car, and then I planned to go to the top of the ravine to get help, but she screamed out that her baby was coming. She was in excruciating pain. I didn't have any choice. I had to deliver the baby.
You're doing beautifully. That's right. Now focus. I want you to think of what his hair color's going to be. Think if he's going to look like you or Michael. All right. Just through the head. I want you to focus on breathing. Now. All right. I want you to push. Now. Push. That's it. It's not long now. That's it. Keep going. That's it.
Gabrielle? Alicia?
Michael?
Yeah.
Breathing.
Michael,
I'm here.
I'm glad you're
That's
here.
right, it's me.
That's right. We're going to have a baby, Michael. We're doing pretty good considering the circumstances.
Baby's coming now?
Yep, Michael. This isn't class. Now get her to breathe.
Okay.
Michael, help me.
Look at me. Look at me. Breathe, breathe. Come on.
All right, now bear down.
Okay.
Now. You're having a baby.
Poor Alicia. She couldn't even hold her baby in her arms, and she passed out. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Just take as long as you need.
Megan, honey, I think you are still terribly upset over Max's testimony, and I think it's going to be quite some time before you are able to be objective about anything.
Time doesn't change facts.
Darling, look at the fact. The fact is, Max said he loves you. You have to trust his love.
He said that he didn't love Gabrielle, and that wasn't true. How can I trust him? Especially when he rushes off and helps Gabrielle every time she calls.
But he tended to your needs first today, didn't he? You know, Megan, you have to be aware that this is what could truly be termed a major crisis in Gabrielle's life. She's fighting for her life.
Oh, I don't believe this. You're feeling sorry for Gabrielle? I mean, it's her own damn fault that she's got this problem. It's not... Why should I suffer because of her selfishness?
Megan, I don't have any sympathy for Gabrielle at all. I'm only trying to get you to understand that Max's response to her crisis does not mean that you are any less important to him. They share a past. They share a child. No matter how much he loves you, he can't just erase that. You're going to have to learn to accept it. You're going to have to learn to deal with it.
No, I can't deal with it. If he loves Gabrielle, then he can't possibly love me.
I think you're wrong. I think it's possible to love two people at the same time. I think that Max certainly has enough love to give you and also to hold on to the memory of his love for Gabrielle.
Oh, come on, Viki. You're not talking about me and Max right now. You're talking about you and Clint and Dad. Okay, maybe you resolved your feelings by tying them up in a neat little bundle and accepting the fact that somebody can love two people at the same time. But I can't live by your rules, and I certainly can't share Max, especially not with Gabrielle. If this is going to be resolved, then Max has got to make a choice. Me or Gabrielle.
Megan, I only meant to help you. I never meant to suggest that my way is your way. I just wanted to share my feelings with you, which, by the way, have nothing at all to do with your father or Clint.
These situations are identical. Max loves me as well as Gabrielle, and you love Clint as well as Dad.
No, the situation is entirely different. Your father and I are friends and business associates, and that is how we conduct ourselves.
Are you telling me you never loved my father?
I loved him very, very much, but that was in the past. My life now is with Clint and my children. Darling, you have to have enough faith in Max's love to overcome your doubts. You cannot go into a tailspin every time he pays attention to Gabrielle. Sorry, I'm preaching again.
No, you're not preaching. I'm sorry, I'm the one that attacked you. I seem to be lashing out at everybody I care about now.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm glad that you still care about me.
Of course I do. Just ignore me.
No, I can't ignore you. I wish I could help you resolve this. I really do.
Dad, honey.
I tried to get in touch with you last night. Oh, I figured you could use a shoulder to lean on.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't get your messages.
Max's testimony was really rough on you, wasn't it? Is there anything I can do to help?
I could use a hug.
Are you able to continue, Miss Medina?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
All right, Gabrielle. You were also injured in that accident, weren't you?
Yes.
You suffered a gash to your forehead, broken ribs, possible concussion.
Yes.
Yet somehow you were able to help Alicia, to take care of her, and to deliver her baby.
I was very concerned about them. I wasn't even aware that I'd been hurt. The doctors told me later I was in shock.
And then you were admitted to the hospital.
Yes.
All right, did you come into contact with Alicia Grand at the hospital?
Yes. I saw her as often as the doctors would let me. I wanted so much for her to recover, so that she could hold her own baby in her arms. And I wanted her to fight to regain her strength.
Did she fight?
She tried. But she knew she was dying.
I've always admired your courage. Did you know that? You're a fighter. Michael's gonna need that. After I'm gone, I'm afraid he's gonna fall apart. He'll need your strength to help go on without me.
You're not going to die.
And the baby's gonna need you too. I've seen how you care for Al. I know that you can come to love my baby too. You've got a head start since you already have those feelings for his father.
Alicia, you don't know what you're
Hold
saying.
on to those feelings so you can give Michael and Rick all the love they need.
They need you. We all need you.
Please, Gabrielle. You have so much love in your heart. Give it to Michael and my son for their sakes and yours.
Alicia, don't.
How did Michael react to Alicia's death?
He was devastated, almost suicidal.
That's when Martin, his house manager, called you at the hospital and asked you to come help.
Yes.
The night of May 12th, 1989, the night that you switched the babies.
Yes.
Okay. And after you went to Michael's house, what happened?
When I got there, Michael thought that I'd come to tell him that his son was dead. I convinced him that Garrick was very much alive, and that Martin had called me because he was worried about Michael.
Did he believe you?
Yes.
I'll tell you something.
What?
They said it could happen. They made it clear.
Who said what?
The doctors and the nurses in pediatrics. When a baby is sick, he is burning up with fever.
Michael, he is on antibiotics. He will respond to the treatment.
I want to explain something to you. If it is my fate to lose both my wife and my son, then that's going to be it for me.
No,
I am simply going
not.
to concede and join them.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
Were you able to talk Michael out of his plan?
No. The best I could do was to get him to promise that he would try and get some sleep that night.
Okay, so you headed back to the hospital thinking that if Michael Grand's son died, that Michael would take his own life.
Oh, yes.
And what happened when you arrived at the hospital?
I went straight to the hospital nursery to see Garrick, say goodnight to him, say a prayer for him, Alicia, and Michael.
Dr. Dan Wallach was on duty?
Yes. I was standing over Garrick's bassinet, lost in thought. All of a sudden, this nurse rushes in and says that there's an emergency, and Dan raced out with the nurse.
And that left you standing there with the babies, alone.
Garrick looked so peaceful. And then it all changed. The monitors that he was attached to went flat. I couldn't believe it. I thought, how could God be so cruel? He's already taken Alicia. How could he possibly take Garrick as well? But it was happening. Garrick stopped breathing. I don't know how long I stood there. I don't really remember what I did next. I do remember this long silence, a dreadful silence. And then Michael's voice, threatening that he would take his own life if his son died, and Alicia's voice begging me to take care of Michael and her son, but you see, their son was dead. The next thing I knew, I was reaching for the nearest child, and it turned out to be Stephen McGillis. And the next thing I knew, you see, I had Stephen McGillis in my arms, and I was putting him down in Garrick's bassinet, and I was picking up Garrick, and I was putting him down in Stephen's bassinet, and oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Russell, we must push on. Mr. Callison.
Feeling any better?
Yes, thank you.
Words are very moving. They're very moving. Your love for your friend Alicia, your love and concern for Michael Grand, your shock and grief at seeing a baby stop breathing. It's very moving. Do you feel that you were in control when you switched the baby? Do you feel that you were out of control? That you're unable to heed the voices that warned you against switching the babies?
I was completely out of control, yes.
All right. What about the day that you paid Austin Buchanan the blackmail money to cover up the baby switch? Or were you still hysterical and not thinking very clearly?
Austin was a cold-blooded killer. He terrified me. I was paralyzed with fear. I couldn't tell if it was day or night or right from wrong.
How about the times that you tried to keep Brenda McGillis from seeing her own child? Or the times that you lied to Max Holden when he begged you to tell you the truth about the baby? Were you still unable to distinguish right from wrong?
I certainly wasn't thinking clearly.
But you did have enough presence of mind to accept Michael Grant's proposal of marriage.
I had very deep feelings for Michael, and that baby was going to need a mother.
Yes, so this was a built-in family right for the taking, and you weren't crazy enough to pass that over.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Watch it, Mr. Callison.
Miss Medina, you claim that Michael Grant took advantage of you. And yet you risked everything, to bring him another woman's son.
If Alicia could forgive him, surely I could. Is forgiveness such a foreign word to you that you can't understand it, Mr. Callison? I didn't want him to take his life. I didn't want him to die.
Because your future as a wealthy woman would die with him.
That is completely untrue.
No, but your attorney would have us believe that you were in love with Max Holden with all your heart. Now, what happened to that love? You just sort of set it aside when you saw this golden opportunity to marry Michael.
Objection.
Damn it, Herb, stop badgering her. You're supposed to be asking questions, not giving a speech for the jury.
All right. I've heard enough from all of you. Counsel will approach the bench. And one more word from you, Mr. Holden, and you'll join Mr. Grand in the corridor.
Megan, sweetheart, you know, there are all kinds of love. And the one love that's driving Max right now is the love for his child. When Al gets old enough to understand what's happened, I mean, how could Max face him if he doesn't do everything in his power to help Gabrielle?
Well, I know that he wants to do his best for Al. I understand that.
I think he also wants to do his best for you, and forcing him right now to choose between you and Gabrielle is not the answer. But if this is difficult for you, darling, think how difficult it must be for Max.
I know I'm being selfish.
No, you're not. You know, your reactions are normal. You've been hurt and embarrassed, and now you're feeling the pain. But you can't let it overwhelm you and force you to make a decision you'll regret.
Heard that somewhere before.
Well, yeah, I mean, your mom and I can't both be wrong, can we?
No, I guess not.
That doesn't make it any easier to follow our advice, but will you give it a try?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dad.
What are you doing here, boy? Just taking pictures. Who are you? Name's Taggart. I saw you a month or so ago when Michael Grant was here. So? So people here don't much appreciate his hiring them, getting their hopes up and then firing them without any notice.
Hey, that was his doing, not mine. Look, I got some pictures I want to finish taking, so excuse me.
I had Clint Buchanan staying over in Michael Grant's quarters at the hotel.
Yeah, you heard right.
Well, I also heard there was some bad blood between them. So how come they're so chummy now?
Yeah, that's none of your business.
Everything in these parts is my business, boy. We don't take kindly to strangers coming in here. Especially rich strangers coming in here and telling us how to live.
Hey, Clint ain't doing that.
Would you just take along some advice and tell him if he gets any fancy ideas, like Michael Grant did? He best be going back east, where he belongs, if he knows what's good for him.
I'm sorry that I took my anger out on you.
Oh, please, will you forget it? That's what I'm here for. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Well, thanks to the two of you, and I'm sure I'll feel even better after I talk to Max.
We'll keep in touch, okay?
Will do.
Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
sweetheart. Bye, Daddy.
Bye-bye.
Despite my extremely sage advice, I think she's in for a very rough time.
Well, I think she has a handle on the situation.
Yes, but the situation is being manipulated by Gabrielle, and there's not a doubt in my mind that Gabrielle is using this trial and all her little heartbreaks to try and win Max's sympathy and love back again. I really do wish that Gabrielle would just leave the two of them alone.
Well, you know, I hate to be put in the position of defending Gabrielle, but once you love someone that deeply, it isn't easy to let them go.
You know, I think I'm going to go and talk to Max. Perhaps I can get him to understand Megan's fears.
You know, Victoria, Max is in enough turmoil already, and besides, Megan is very independent. She might resent your direct involvement.
Yes, I guess you're right. So all we can do is offer her love and support and advice if she asks for it. Is that it?
You know, we agreed to have dinner to discuss business, and here we are, sounding like typical parents, worried about their daughter.
Mr. Callison?
Miss Medina, why did you finally admit the truth about the baby switch?
Because I couldn't live with the lie any longer. I couldn't watch Brenda being tormented because of my one insane act.
Did Max Holden initiate a story on this daytime drama, Fraternity Row, that closely paralleled the events that led up to your actions in the neonatal ICU the night you exchanged the babies?
Yes, he did.
Because Brenda McGillis discovered that Garrett Grant was really her own baby, Stephen. Isn't that true?
Yes.
You knew Brenda would never stop fighting for her child. Found yourself backed into a corner, and the only way out was to admit the truth.
No, you're wrong. Once I'd come to my senses and saw how much I was hurting everyone, I wanted everything to change. I wanted to make it all right.
Mrs. Medina, of your mind, were you? You calculated your every move from beginning to end.
No, that's not
Yes, it is. Now, look, you had a child by a man who didn't love you, and you needed to support that child. You zeroed in on Michael Graham, but he threw you over as soon as his wife showed up. You were desperate, so you started taking advantage of his wife's kindness, her generosity.
Don't you dare cheapen my relationship with Alicia. I loved her like my own sister. When she died, I was destroyed.
Yes, I'm sure that's true. Absolutely, that's true. But life does go on, doesn't it? And here was poor, vulnerable Michael Graham, your prime target for you.
Michael was my friend, and Alicia had asked me to look after him.
Look after him? Was marrying him the only way you could look after him?
I didn't care about marrying him. I wanted him to live so that he could share the happiness with his son.
Weren't you really concerned about your own happiness? Now, didn't you suddenly find a way to achieve that happiness when his baby died? You seized the opportunity to take advantage of him just the way he took advantage of you.
No, everything I did for Michael.
No, Mrs. Medina, everything you ever dreamed of was within your grasp. All you had to do was switch those babies and you'd find your pot of gold, a happy life with Michael Grant. And in one ruthless, inspired moment, you chose that life and doomed Brenda McGillis to a life of mourning a baby she had not lost.
No!
Now, isn't that the truth?
No! No!
No more questions.
Redirect, Mr. Russell.
No, Your Honor.
I want to see Max.
You know that's against the rules, Mr. Russell.
Please, Your Honor, just for a minute.
I'm sorry, but it's not allowed, Miss Medina.
Your Honor, if it please the court, I would like to move for a temporary dispensation from the rules and procedures, if you don't mind, Your Honor. Please.
Oh, God, is there any compassion in this courtroom, please?
Very well. Sheriff, take Miss Medina and Mr. Holden to the corridor and give them 5 minutes.
Thank you.
As you suggested, Megan has a handle on the situation, and I think she's perfectly capable of dealing with it, so perhaps we should get down to business. What do you think?
I wish you were as capable of dealing with our past.
I have dealt with our past, Roger. It's over.
Not for me. I can't pretend that the love we once shared doesn't exist. As hard as you might try, you can't pretend either.
Roger, please. You promised me you would abide by our decision to be friends, business associates. I really cannot deal with this emotional turmoil every single time we have a business meeting.
Well, then, let's forget about business and deal with what's happening to us.
Nothing is happening to us. Our daughter had a problem. We discussed it. That's all. It's over.
What about your problems with Clint?
They don't affect you. I'm sorry I ever discussed it with you.
Well, I have a couple of loose teeth that prove they affect me. You stayed up at your cabin until I convinced you to go home and work things out with Clint.
Right, and I did that. And unfortunately, when I got home, he had left for Arizona.
You mean ran away to Arizona?
No, he needed time to be by himself. He just needed some time to get over being angry, that's all.
But you've made no effort to follow him, which proves to me that you won't resolve your problems because you know you have no reason to reconcile.
Roger, please, don't do this.
Victoria, for God's sake, face the truth. You don't have much of a marriage anymore, and the sooner you admit that to yourself and to Clint, the better off it will be for everybody.
When did you become such an expert on my marriage?
Look, Victoria, please. Now, all I'm trying to say...
No, you save your breath. I am not at all interested in anything you have to say about my marriage.
Mr. Russell, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I have no more witnesses. The defense rests.
If it please the court.
Mr. Callison.
As I informed you earlier, the Commonwealth has subpoenaed one more witness. She's expected to arrive this evening and should be available to testify tomorrow.
Is that the witness, Tina Roberts?
Yes.
Very well. Court is adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
All rise.
Max, I have to know something. You gotta tell me the truth. Don't spare my feelings, please. Did you mean what you said on the witness stand? Do you really love me?
I was under oath.
People lie under oath. My mother lied. You were probably just doing it to make me feel better.
It was a part of it, but I wasn't lying. Part of me does still love you.
Why couldn't you ever tell me that?
Because I couldn't admit it to anyone. Not even myself. That's why I was so surprised when I blurted it out on the stand.
I don't understand why you can't admit it.
A lot of reasons. Some good, some not so good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now, you know.
Does this mean that there's a chance for us? Are the three of us someday going to be a family?
Gabrielle, please, let's just take this one day.
I cannot go through this torture unless I know that your love's going to be there at the end. My God, do I even have a life that's worth fighting for?